You were in staffing is we want, or the manager would always say, we want to hire top talent. Well, okay, what's your budget? What do you want to hire a college recruit? Do you want to go to colleges? Where do you want to go to expose Agilent? Because these are the type of people we want. We want someone that's a college grad. We had people, alumni in the company that used to go to the college campuses and go and market the different kinds of jobs that Agilent had for young engineers, young MBAs, whatever.
But there was an internal pressure to become more strategic overall as a unit.
Yes, more and more over time. That is, yes. Be a strategic business partner by being involved in the business, contributing by, if it's a business decision to acquire a business, if it's a business decision to sell a business, if it's a decision to hire people. Does it make sense to hire a permanent regular employee versus going to a temporary agency? Because the business partner, again, would bring in an HR focus to the manager to say, remember, you need this project and you need to ramp up and you need X number of employees, but a year from now, you might not need those employees, or you might not need them in 6 months. And the philosophy with Hewlett-Packard for many, many years was they did not lay off people. That just was not a word in the vocabulary of the company. And it became more and more clear that it became difficult to operate that way. So things changed. And that was a very difficult emotionally thing was very difficult to change that culture, because there were people like me who had worked with the company for many years that thought, oh my gosh, we're going to have we called it workforce balancing. And that was another role I played. I played a role in designing that program with the corporate people. They called it workforce management. So anyway, again, getting back to your question about the liaison, yes, they would work again with the manager from a staffing perspective, from a compensation perspective. They had all their tools. It's more and more online. We utilized technology over the years to become more of a paperless company and put ownership on each individual employee and manager to manage their people, give them the tools that they need to manage their people, along with employees managing the information that they have on themselves.
That's another issue that comes up in a lot of the different things that are written about HR is in HRM, there's an M. And some of the management books over the last few years have come out saying that the management part of things, in other words, helping different business units understand how to manage people, that's supposed to be a key besides the shift towards strategic partners that help find better alignment in general, also desired shift towards better management practices, and the HR should play a function in helping the company learn how to manage. So to what extent did HR in HP and Agilent have that role of trying to help the different departments and the company overall become better managers?
First of all, HP, that was the thing. Well, if you go back to the core philosophy of Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard, was that they gave their managers, they empowered their managers to manage their people with people involvement. And this is what you called MBWA, management by wandering around. Their managers were held accountable, that they should be aware of everything that was going on with their employee. We would do quarterly, I am talking every 3 months, wage review. We would do...
What kind of review?
Wage review.
A wage review.
And part of that was that each employee, that was years ago. They don't do it like that anymore. But this was, again, manager be involved with their employee, letting them know how they're performing, because we paid based on performance. We had our wage scales that clearly said you are being rated as to how well you're doing your job compared to your peers. But you got buy-in from the employee to say, geez, I want to be an excellent employee. What do I need to do to become an excellent employee? And what they would do is they would go over and says, well, remember, these are our objectives. These are our plans, strategies for this next year. This is what you need to do. The person, like, let's talk, we have a production worker that does so many widgets every 10 minutes. Well, your top performer that does that same job does 50 widgets every 10 minutes. You're doing 25. What are the things that we can do to help you develop so that you can, standards? So it was management by, you were not only discussing your performance, but working how you could do to get better.
But did you also help, were you also able to help set their own objectives, or were those just provided to them?
No, you helped with their buy-in, with them understanding what it was that they needed to do.
No, but did the employees also have a say in the setting of the objectives that they were going to be measured against?
Well, yes, because they were involved in those objectives and those strategies that were put together at the beginning of each year.
Okay.
At the beginning of each fiscal year.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
So anyway, so they would review this every 3 months. So, and along with that, then we would look at, because you're based pay on performance, and so your wage scale, so managers were held accountable for doing that with their employees. When you first became a manager, you went through a full core training of what it was like to be a manager. How you put your plans together for your business, how you have to do wages, wage compensation. You did a performance evaluation on them when they first got hired on, the first 6 months, the second 6 months, and thereafter every year. And the principles of that performance evaluation was, how effective are you in the job that you do? And you would get, so they would review that with them every year. So I don't know if I...
Yeah, you were answering...
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, a lot, on how the HR played a very active role in helping make sure that the managers, at least through standards and through reviews and evaluations, were very actively managing their employees.
Right.
Okay, well...
and they would go through training. That was part of training and development. So HR also had, like I said, training and development, help managers how, if they felt like there was a manager that didn't quite understand how the wage review process worked, they would go through training. We also had core training classes for employees. We had communication classes. We had managing interpersonal relationships that would help identify what type of person you are. Were you an analytical person? Were you a driver? Were you an amiable, etc.? Mm-hmm. And help, again, become aware of who you are, and so that you can become more effective as you work with other people.
Well, along those lines, there's a lot written in some of the HR literature on talent management versus people management. So like a whole focus on saying, okay, people come into a company with certain sets of skills, with certain things on their resume, but if you look back as to why you moved up in a company, it has usually less to do with your formal education and your formal skill sets that are written down. It has more to do with your natural talent. Maybe you're a natural networker, maybe you're a natural analyst.